al khalifa yàgg dara incha allah nañ mënul ñàkk ko xam sant lañ wax. ok jërëjëf à tout à l'heure incha allah ñu wéy di des ak programme bi nga xamante ne moom mooy am si biir salle bi du yàgg tuuti rek incha allah ñu daal di ñëwaat ak yéen ci plateau bi.
Bismillah, here I go. Going to try to do the portrait of a mystical aristocrat, an artist, musician by vocation, and philosopher of half measures, hums. Do not leave so your presence is noticed, but so that your absence is felt. You have to be Serigne Cheikh Ahmed Tidiane to dare to be absent when your presence is highly requested. You have to be worthy here of one of the greatest intellectuals of the time, Serigne Babacar Sy radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Today to step aside from the public scene when you are awarded the high distinction of Caliph. Years ago, a Senegalese daily attempted to analyze the mystical reasons for the absence of the man in the jalaba. It's not enough to complete high studies in journalism or to attend the most prestigious universities of universal consciousness to know how to interpret the vocation of the Tribune of Tivaouane. What is certain is that there is nothing more comical than wondering about the absence of the man known as Maktoum, the hidden Paul. Unless we feel driven by the audacity of having to challenge this pastor, such an argument would relate to an insult intended for the community of the archangels, community which, on its own, can be a witness to the legacy of its namesake, Abul Abbas Ahmed Tijani Sharif, and the resident of the relay to sing in the famous Fa'ilayka. والحق أنك حد أتاك مبشرا غير الورى بالحتم والكتمان. Whether he took a lease for posterity or not, there is one reality that remains unchangeable. Land of the brilliant Sheikh Anta Diop and the reckless El Hadj Omar Fouti Tall, peace be upon them. Senegal is also a country where a rarity on the public scene commands respect and consideration. When you are dealing with such a tenor whose work is so old, the reality is quite different. Half a century paint with multidimensional activism. Which introduced the talented lecturer, a pen poet who knew how to raise conscience, a man of business with a great financial empire ever for a spiritual man, a tribune with indisputable positions, a spiritual leader with the immeasurable nobility, a mystical aristocrat combining the temporal and the spiritual, and a political leader with a significant commitment, a social catalyst with a noticeable gesture, and on top of it, the master present absent.
The appearance of this great benevolent star has always been clemency and a mercy to mankind. The greatest adventure of this noble missionary on earth was consolidated by the irresistible desire to piece the essence of science. The presence of this great unknown soul were a perfect balance for the world and the whole of the humanity, repository of an immense and one of an Islamic cultural heritage. The illusions of this important, the illustrious Prince of Sins exalt all the splendor of the spirituality of mankind. This beautiful jewel, not people understanding who was Mame Cheikh Ahmed Tidiane, a praise and a honorable man for the whole world and this country. What we mean by that is we will never be able to know exactly what is the true meaning of such a masterpiece. Because in this life, no matter how happened, no matter how hard, no matter no matter your spirituality is up, we will never be able to find the true meaning of this mastermind. Above all this, I would say that it's really important to have a deep knowledge of exactly who was Mame Cheikh, a man that is always fighting for the good things of the humanity.
And beyond that comes the notion of Dahr, better known as time, as well as this prophecy from the Najm al-Yatrib. Now, do never dare to compare mankind's time and God's time, because time itself is defined by God Almighty. Dear Al-Maktoum, if we mention all of these, it is because the word time occupies a special place in your writings, especially when it comes to the depicting and the chivalrous virtues. شيمت حقه جوهر الإنسان, which depict so much the action of your namesake, the great Abu Abbas Ahmed Tijani radiallahu ta'ala anhu, as revealed in فإليك again. فدهر دهرك لا تقارب بسلطة والفتح فتحك كفاتي ميزان. Someone considered as a mastermind who has always been able to engage in the most complex labyrinths constituting the very architecture of your thoughts. Let me name Sayyidi Sheikh Muhammad al-Mustafa al-Mourchid al-Gham, حفظه الله وأيده ورعاه. The man who had always been the bridge to help us cross the hidden river and finally embrace the essence of your outstanding knowledge. What didn't he mention? It is not a question for him, but for his audience of revisiting his intellectual heritage, of course. Sayyidi Hadj Maick radiallahu ta'ala anhu complained quite often, I fear that in this country, the interest accorded to traditional values far surpasses that devoted to the prophetic tradition, meaning ada du fi musdan dine. Serigne Cheikh Ahmed Tidiane is a chance for Senegal, but this chance has to do with a country where the crisis that is condemned more 2 decades still rages, the crisis of logic and values.
Prince of Sin exalt the splendor of the spirituality of mankind. To him all honor and glory. Do I need to introduce you to this great gentleman, a worthy heir to an indestructible legitimacy, a chosen one from heaven who has highly deserved this celestial mission, a pure mastermind. Our spiritual and eternal Father will remain emblematic. A perfect illustration of the essential civilization, child of a celestial queen, Leru Sokhna Astukan, was an international pride, for point you deprive any longer the pleasure of discovering. This great man, of no story who Al-Mustafa remains. His only faithful servant, and yet they call him master. He had no degree, but yet they call him teacher. He had no medicine, yet they call him the healer. He had no army, but has the sense of ruling an army. He had committed no crime, yet they jail him. Buried in the tomb, yet still absence is felt today. His name is undoubtedly Al-Maktoum, Al-Hudbul Maktoum. If you see this sweet soul, you will see the beauty of God. If you see the pace of this brave, you will see the power of God. If you see this magnificent human being, you will see God's best creations. His origin is filled with all these important facts. If you make use of this beautiful book, you will live the wisdom of God. This angel transformed the Gamou into a tourist vacation. Listening to his lecture day and night is a moment of inexplicable joy and delight. Between pedagogy, orientation, discipline, he knows how to pace his speech as he pleases. Probably, and the other side ended in style. This was Mame Cheikh Ahmed Tidiane.
Even religion seems not have extricated itself from such a priesthood. Sayyid Mustafa Sy illustrated it for the good Muslim community. Why are the leaders of different religions only there to build the buildings that are often empty of occupants? The occupier himself no longer feels safe between four walls cemented together by a conflicted ideal. As for the author of Fa'ilayka Mame Cheikh, he considers this vice as distorting the initiative of heaven, which aims for a humane and balanced society. Isn't it time to fight perverted consciences? No one can appropriate the essence of Maktoumian philosophy if they are not immune to the crisis of logic and values. Like what the action of a visor, similar to the weight of the actions during the time of accomplishment of his mission, that mission has been still continue to rise up every single day in every person with a blessed heart and a clear vision. This is why, Mom, all of your actions will forever remain compass that can guide minds and heal souls for generation. And that radina bihi shay'an illa akhiri dahri. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aminata. Thank you so much, Babaka. Seydi Cheikh said that English was or is the language of gentlemen. And he was, he is a gentleman. So thanks a lot. Nous allons continuer le programme avec le conte qu'on avait énoncé tout à l'heure de Tonton Serigne Ndiaye, l'artiste. Sous vos applaudissements, s'il vous plaît.
sànq nii rek ñu ngi doon def benn poème boo xamante ne gis nañ ko mu jot a jàll ki nga xamante